everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're stepping into the forgotten halls of a place that many people believe should have stayed buried in history. Our story is called The Cursed Corridors of an Abandoned Prison. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, this is one of those stories that has left investigators, former guards, and even police officers searching for answers they could never find. So, dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. There is an old prison hidden deep in the forests of Pennsylvania. It has been abandoned for decades, surrounded by rusted fences, broken watchtowers, and silence so heavy it almost feels alive. The official records say the prison was closed after years of violence, corruption, and unexplained deaths. Locals simply call it Black Hollow Prison. Few people dare to visit. Those who do rarely stay for long. My story begins with a documentary filmmaker named Ethan. He wasn't interested in ghost stories. He believed every legend had a logical explanation. Along with his cameraman Ryan and sound engineer Melissa, he planned to spend one night inside Black Hollow Prison to prove that every frightening rumor was nothing more than imagination. As the heavy front gate groaned open, the air changed instantly. It wasn't colder, it felt heavier. Every breath seemed difficult, as if the building itself was watching them. The entrance hall was covered in peeling paint and scattered prison records. Dust floated through the beams of sunlight, breaking through shattered windows. Ryan laughed. "This place isn't haunted," he said. "It's just old." His voice echoed down the hallway. A moment later, the echo answered back, not with his own words, with laughter, different laughter, far away. None of them spoke. Melissa checked the audio recorder, assuming it had picked up interference. It hadn't. The sound came from somewhere inside the prison. They continued deeper into the building. Cell after cell lined the endless corridors. Most doors hung open. Others remained locked from the outside, despite no prisoners being inside for decades. As Ethan read through old documents he had found in the warden's office, one report caught his attention. Several inmates had claimed that every night they heard footsteps walking through cell block 4. The strange part: cell block 4 had been permanently sealed after a fire that officially killed everyone inside. No bodies had ever been recovered. The report ended with a handwritten sentence: "Never follow the footsteps." Ryan smiled. Perfect for the documentary. Ignoring the warning, they headed toward cell block 4. The hallway leading there seemed impossibly long. Every step echoed. Then another set of footsteps joined theirs. Slow, heavy, perfectly synchronized. When the three of them stopped, the fourth set of footsteps continued. Closer, closer. Then silence. Melissa whispered that someone was behind them. They turned. No one. Only darkness stretching through the corridor. Trying to stay calm, Ethan suggested continuing. The sealed cell block stood behind a massive steel door covered with rust. Someone had scratched words into the metal. "They're still counting." Ethan pushed against the door. To everyone's surprise, it slowly opened. Inside, the air smelled like smoke, although the fire had happened decades earlier. Rows of burned prison cells stood untouched. The walls were covered with thousands of tiny tally marks. Someone had counted every single day, every single hour, every single minute, until the marks suddenly stopped. Melissa noticed movement inside one of the cells. She pointed her flashlight toward it. Nothing. Then another movement, this time behind them. Ryan spun around with the camera. The screen showed something impossible. Standing at the end of the corridor was a prison guard. His uniform was burned. His face was hidden beneath shadows. When they looked up from the camera, the guard was gone. Only the recording had captured him. Ryan tried to laugh it off, but his hands were shaking. Then every prison cell slammed shut at exactly the same moment. The sound thundered through the building. Metal screamed against metal. The lights on every camera began flickering. Melissa's recorder started playing voices that none of them could hear with their own ears. Dozens of prisoners whispered together. Some begged for help. Others repeated the same sentence. "Don't let him count you." Suddenly, a bell rang somewhere inside the prison. One loud strike, then another, then another. The old prison schedule. Lights out. Lockdown. Except there was no electricity, no working bell, no living guards. The corridor filled with footsteps. Hundreds of them, running, marching, dragging chains across concrete floors. Ethan yelled for everyone to run. They sprinted toward the entrance. But every hallway led back to cell block 4, no matter which direction they chose. The prison refused to let them leave. Ryan suddenly froze. He stared down another corridor. There are people standing there. Ethan saw nothing. Melissa saw nothing. Ryan slowly backed away. "They're wearing prison uniforms." His voice cracked. "They're all looking at us." Then he whispered something that neither Ethan nor Melissa ever forgot. "They're smiling." Without warning, Ryan walked toward the darkness, calmly, slowly, as though someone had called his name. Ethan grabbed his arm. Ryan screamed in terror. He pointed behind Ethan. "There he is!" Ethan turned. The burned prison guard stood only a few feet away, motionless, holding an old ledger. The guard slowly opened the book, turned one page, picked up a pen, and wrote a single name. Ryan. The lights exploded into darkness. When Ethan regained consciousness, morning sunlight poured through broken windows. The prison was silent. Melissa was sitting against the wall, unable to speak. Ryan was gone. The camera remained on the floor, still recording. Police searched the entire prison. Every room, every tunnel, every rooftop. Ryan was never found. Months later, Ethan finally reviewed the last minutes of the footage. Near the end of the recording, just before everything went black, the camera captured Ryan walking through the corridor. Except he wasn't alone. Hundreds of prisoners silently followed behind him, and leading them all was the burned prison guard. As they disappeared into the darkness, the guard slowly looked towards the camera, smiled, and closed the ledger. To this day, Black Hollow Prison remains abandoned. No official investigation has ever explained Ryan's disappearance. Urban explorers still report hearing footsteps inside cell block 4. Some claim they hear chains dragging across the floor. Others say they hear someone quietly counting. 1, 2, 3. If you ever find yourself standing inside the cursed corridors of an abandoned prison, and you hear someone counting behind you, whatever you do, don't turn around.